Okay, so this AO is in like 12 hours, and I intended to do this, God, days ago? Maybe even a week ago, and I just didn't, because, shit happens and you don't feel up for it. Bonus points if you guess why. But, figured I might as well get my thoughts out there. If anything, just to chronicle them for myself, to be like, oh, God, I was fucking stupid. Uh, don't expect this to be too long. I expect it to be longer than, like, the Switch one direct predictions I did a couple days ago. But probably shorter than the reaction I do for this, talking through everything. It's probably gonna be pretty damn long. And maybe I'll be in a better mood for that one. But, like for the, predictions for the actual direct, everything I'm even gonna mention, unless I come up with something randomly, is gonna be on this slide already. So I guess I'll get into the things that I don't care about. Actually, no, I'll go into the hardware first. Because I think in terms of price, I'm expecting this to be 400. I think Nintendo never wants the price like too high. I think 400 is kind of the highest they can get away with, while still not being like absurd. And like with inflation and all, I think 400 just makes sense. System, the fucking Joy-Con grip that no one uses, whatever the new Joy-Cons are called. Do we have a name for them? I guess speaking of, I think the the mice capabilities of those are going to be such a big thing for this system. I think the idea that you could use two of them at once as like double mice is the funniest shit imaginable. Like you could just do some goofy stuff. Like imagine a game like Getting Over It. I know the guy who made that is working on a game like that with a bigger budget. Imagine a game where the controls are purposefully shitty and it's all about traversal, but you have to do it with two fucking Joy-Con mice. That's incredible. Dumbest idea ever. It works though. Like imagine like a rhythm game where you gotta. I don't know why I'm moving my hands around like you can see it. I just think there's so many stupid possibilities that you could do with having that mice-like setup that, God, I would fucking love if that was the case. And speaking of the Joy-Con, the C button, I I don't know what it is. I've seen plenty of theories that could be connect, cast, combine. I had another one I thought of. I've seen people think that it would be multiple things, which honestly I think that makes a lot of sense. But if I had to guess one thing, I'd probably say connect, like maybe connect to another system, or connect controllers, or connect. God, I don't even know. It could be so many things. Someone's acted like there was like a teaser for it that went up today. I don't know if that's real, but it is a thing that we know exists. So whatever, man. We'll see how that goes. And then I guess in terms of game predictions, there's a lot on here, but a lot of this I don't have too much to say about. Um, I guess third party things. I threw a couple of things on here that I think would be big announcements, but I don't particularly care too much about. Namely, I think we get a Switch 2 port of Elden Ring, and I think that's kind of like our Skyrim moment. Like when the original Switch was announced, we had Skyrim shown off, and it was like this big, huge deal. It was like, oh my god, you have Skyrim running not only on a Nintendo console, but a portable one. I think Elden Ring could be that for this, and I think Baldur's Gate 3, similar situation. I care about that game a little bit more, but not enough. Maybe I'll get to it one day, but I think it makes a lot of sense for that to come to Switch. Probably more likely than Elden Ring. Um, I think Microsoft is going to have an appearance. I think they're not really focused as much now on the Xbox console ecosystem as they are on the Xbox, like Game Pass, games as a service, not games as a service, but that whole ecosystem of like you buy into Game Pass and you just get fucking everything. So I don't think they're too worried about selling Xboxes as much now as they are about selling the brand, and it's kind of been that case for a while. So I don't think it is some insane thing to say that some big Xbox game would make an appearance here. I think I put Banjo on here because frankly I think it would be really fucking cool if they like not even like a fourth game, solid game if you don't count nuts and bolts because who does? But like I think a remake of the fourth game, maybe even the second in there too, but at least the fourth game is at least semi likely. I would love to see that. I don't think it's super likely. I think Master Chief Collection on Switch, not even remastered, just put it on a cartridge and ship it. I think, honestly, I could see that being a launch title. I think that would be such a huge thing, honestly, for the console industry in general, to see these two guys on a system's launch day one. I think that's huge. And I think it would do phenomenal on Switch, especially as a launch title when there's not going to be too much to play. I think if you get Master Chief Collection out day one, like that is a headline, and I think it makes a lot of sense given um, the connection Nintendo and Microsoft have recently. And then, of course, you know me, you probably don't actually. Uh, Atlas, I love my anime bullshit. I think Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor ReFantazio, which I just finished by the way. I platinumed it yesterday. That fucking dragon boss pissed me the hell off. I did find a way to cheese it, but god, it probably still took me like 2 hours of just refighting that thing over and over. Probably more than two, because I had to like go back and grind to level up. It was rough. But I think both of these games are going to be coming to Switch too. I don't think Metaphor will get like an expanded release yet. I think this is just straight up the game on a Switch call. I think Reload, since it's been a bit longer since that came out, and there's been a substantial amount of DLC since then, I could see like Reload. I don't even know if they'd add a subtitle to it. Maybe like just call it Complete Edition, and it's Reload with the Ansel episode, I guess, and all the costumes, similar to how P5R Switch release and remaster, although this wouldn't be a remaster. But the multi-platform release had all of the costume DLC baked in, which god that shit is so expensive. Maybe Metaphor gets the costume DLC too. Now that I think about it, I think that's less likely, but maybe. Ace Attorney 7, man, I gotta talk about it until it happens. I just want it to happen, dude. Is it gonna happen? No. But I'll talk about it like it has a chance. I think the thing with Ace 27 is that if it was gonna be revealed at one of these directs, I think it would have been last week's. Because why would you make it like a Switch 2 exclusive when you can just put it on the normal Switch and reach a bigger install base? Like, what about Ace Attorney says, oh yeah, we gotta save that for the next system. Like, no, it's a visual novel. It doesn't make sense. But, if it happened and I didn't mention it, I would be real mad. Frankly, I just want it to happen, dude. Just give me Ace Attorney 7. I don't even care if it's 7. Give me, Great Ace Attorney 3, even though, honestly, I think that story ended well enough. I don't think we need another game. I would rather just do 7, but like strip it back a bit, as in have less character. I say kill off Phoenix, but that's what I'm saying. But might be a bit controversial. And then I guess first party games, because there's a lot of these. I guess I'll go around, start with like this stuff, and then heal, and then do that. I predicted an FE4 remaster, well, not remaster, remake, or Awakening HD for the last direct as like a final Switch 1 game. Didn't happen, but god, I think Fire Emblem has to happen soon. Either a new game, which I think would be 17 at this point, or the FE4 remake. One of those is gonna happen soon. Like, if it doesn't come out this year, I think it's a second year Switch 2 thing. I would have included another Fire Emblem character on here for, the to represent a new game, but we don't know who's in it, so I just did Sigurd. Um, I think FE4, since it's such a big deal, like it's one of the most popular FE games in Japan, it's the most requested one to be remade. Um, it's on a pretty large scale story-wise, and there's a lot they need to add to it. Not add to it, but modernize with. That I think you could make a case for it to be a big enough game for them to want to push heavily, especially I believe Nintendo has recognized Fire Emblem as like one of the 10 biggest franchises recently, like on their website or something. I know there was a thing about like they were promoting the characters from like the biggest franchises, and Fire Emblem and I think Metroid were mentioned like not by character, but as like these other big franchises. So I think there's a push for Fire Emblem, and I think FE4 could do that, or a new game could do that. We know the Three Houses team has got to be working on something. N-Gage was done for like a year or two before it even came out, so they have something ready soon. And it's just a matter of, is it going to be the FE4 remake, or is it going to be a new game? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I, part of me honestly would prefer it if it was FE4, because I just really want to play Genealogy. I've heard such good things about it. The story sounds so intriguing. All I really know about it is something that happens to this guy, and that's about it. um, Kid Icarus, I predicted that last time too, that we would get a Sigurd. Uh, those are the only two things that crossed over on this, Sigurd and Kid Icarus. Whatever. Um, I think with the mouse ability, Kid Icarus just makes so much sense to come back. I don't think it's time. I think this may seem like a bit too much, but I think Sakurai is working on Kid Icarus and Smash. Smash is like a third year thing for Switch 2. I don't think we're going to hear about Smash, but I think one of those projects he's like hands on with, and the other he's like not as hands on, more like checking in. And honestly, he could be doing that for both, but I think if there was one he was doing that, it would be Kid Icarus, because you really don't need too much to do with it besides just remaster Uprising, throw it on Switch, Switch 2 I mean. And the reason why you make it a Switch 2 game and not a Switch 1 is because the mouse con, I'm gonna call it, because I've heard people call it that before, is like the perfect thing for the control scheme of that game. Because the original control system was fucking dog shit, you know? And I think the only way to like um address that is through something like the mice. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. Whoops. Uh, Colby, I think it makes sense for them to put out something this year, especially since we didn't get Robobot or like another Colby thing. We get one pretty much every year. If I had to guess, I, a big trend with this is 3D platformers. Like Colby, I think Forgotten Land 2, Banjo-Kazooie, 3D Mario, Donkey Kong. These are all 3D platformers I think are somewhat likely to happen. But we only get one, maybe two of those, and I feel like 3D Mario just makes so much sense. But if we did get a second one, I would say Colby, Forgotten Land 2. Next Level Games has got to be working on something. I would assume Luigi's Mansion 4, maybe not this year, but maybe next. Um, but I do feel like it's likely enough to like say something about. I'm not a big Luigi's Mansion guy, frankly. I've only played the first game remastered on 3DS and the third on Switch. Thought the first game was better, but still not like exceptional. And the third game was just like good. I don't care too much about it. Um, I'll play it for sure, but it's not really doing all too much for me. I think Breath of the Wild gets that remaster that's been rumored for so long. I know, it was demoed apparently. I think Gamescom last year. That's probably a launch title. And I think it's lame, personally. It's kind of a game industry thing recently to just take a big game from the last generation, mark up the price tag, release it again, give it a minor upscaling, and maybe if you're lucky, a tiny bit more content. That's such a big thing in the industry now, and that sucks. But unfortunately, I think that's going to happen with Breath of the Wild, and the DLC should be included in it, which, like, yay, but what's that going to do? Um, Animal Crossing, I wasn't going to have anything about this on here, and then last minute I said, you know what? Either Splatoon or Animal Crossing. I put Tammy on here. Fucking hate that. Fucking hate that animal. I said it twice because I fucking hate her. She sucks. Worst villager ever. I hate her. I don't think Animal Crossing is happening here, but it's either that or Splatoon. So, I mean, I think Splatoon's more likely, but I figured I'd at least mention it. I think Animal Crossing is something they want to get out early on-ish in the Switch 2's lifespan because of how huge New Horizons was and how much of a system seller that could be. But I think they're gonna wait until next year because this year they have 3D Mario and Mario Kart to kind of carry it. And then, as I said with Splatoon, I don't actually think it's Splatoon 4. I think some sort of spin-off, something like a imagine like a Splatoon tactics game. I think that would be super cool. Is that what it would be? No, but I think some sort of spin-off makes sense. Maybe one that's more of like your typical campaign, like we already get in the games. Um, I think it would be cool if they made like a mini eShop game of Tabletop Battle from Splatoon 3 and just add more to that and maybe have like a story mode where like you I guess it already kind of has that, but just give that more of a budget. Mario Kart 9, 10. I think it's 10 personally. I think that way they can call it Mario Kart X and do the. That's just way easier to market than 9. Because, like, who doesn't see 10 and just go, yeah, that's a good number, man. So I think. Why did I say it like that, dude? Can you tell? I'm so out of it. I think 10. I think this is the launch title. That, along with Breath of the Wild, and Master Chief Collection. I think those are the three things that come out with day one as like the biggest things to push, and I think that should be more than enough to have a successful first launch. And then over the coming months, you bring out something like the Splatoon spin-off, the Kirby game, and then have other various third parties to back it up, like the Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate, Persona, and Metaphor. But yeah, I think honestly, I don't really know what the big gimmick of this game is. I don't think it needs a big gimmick, honestly. You have. We know that it's gonna be 24 racers now. There was like pit stops in the trailer or something for the first look we got at it. Honestly, I haven't analyzed it too much. Like, I'm just not gonna analyze Mario Kart footage. I'm sure the game is gonna be great, but I don't care as much as I would about something like a new 3D Mario, for example. Which, if we don't get that, I think, honestly, I think we get a 3D Mario game with Donkey Kong as like a big focus in it. Like either as like a playable character or like I don't know, maybe you go to like his fucking big headphone is silencing me. Sorry, those cut out. But I think you could get like a because they're pushing Donkey Kong so much. They had him they tweeted about Donkey Kong Country Returns like 30 times. They got an ad with the Costco guys to sing about Donkey Kong Country Returns. Like, that game has gotten so much marketing. He was a big spot in the movie. Um, they redesigned him for MK9 or 10. Um, there's a rumor, which seems pretty substantial, about a Donkey Kong movie coming out. There was the DK Land at Super Nintendo Land. Like, they're pushing Donkey Kong so much, and I think either what you do is you make a big 3D Donkey Kong platformer, or you basically shoot that into whatever the next Mario game is. Which I don't think it's Odyssey 2, but the gimmick could be something like equally as big as the other ones we've gotten, like Flood and Sunshine, or space and Galaxy. I I would I will love it. Honestly, give me Odyssey too, but I think it's been long enough. We'll get some new gimmick. Ima- Imagine like co-op we can play as Mario and Donkey Kong. I don't think that would happen because why do Mario and Donkey Kong and not Mario and Luigi? But imagine. Also, I would just play as Donkey Kong every time out of 10. Like 10 out of 10 times, I'm Donkey Kong. Let me be the ape. But yeah, I honestly don't think I have anything else to touch on. This is a even shorter than the one I did for the Switch 1, I think. It's clocking in at about the same time, but honestly, there just isn't too much for me to say. And if there was more for me to say, then, I fucking forgot. I don't know, not feeling too up to say much more. I'm excited for it. We'll see how it goes. I'm really hoping that. I mean, I'm gonna be sold on the damn thing no matter what. Like, I've never been able to pick up a console on day one. if they're obtainable enough, and even if they're not super obtainable, I'm gonna work hard to be able to secure one. I can afford one on launch day. We'll see how many of like the launch games and stuff we can pick up. But I have enough money to like put down and say, yeah, okay, I'm gonna invest in this early on. Especially if you have like even a fraction of the stuff like this. I guess what I'll say is I think we're looking at a June release date, like end of June. That's kind of what's been rumored. I've heard May, but I think that's too soon. I think like very end of June, like the 20s. Like I'm not gonna open up a calendar and point out like, oh, what's some Friday at the end of June? But a Friday at the end of June is when I think we see this hit store shelves. Um, like I said, Mario Kart 9, 10, Breath of the Wild, and Halo Master Chief Collection. Those are all big games for launch. And then over the coming months, maybe like Splatoon in August, Kirby in September, and then October, November is when you get the 3D Mario, and then maybe like December is like Kid Icarus. And then for the next year is when I think we see Luigi's Mansion, Fire Emblem. Probably not Animal Crossing for another year. I think that's more of like a 2027 thing, because the Splatoon team and the Animal Crossing team work on the same things, so presumably they're not gonna have enough time to invest in this if they're working on this. Obviously, there is some development overlap, but yeah. I think Smash is also probably something we see in 2027. Like I said earlier, I think. But yeah, they have so much momentum going into this, and it's all just about sustaining it at this point, which I think it should be sustainable. They clearly, I know their stock was at like an all-time high relatively recently, and that's for some reasons that are not just about the Switch, but they're more valuable than they've ever been. They're becoming more and more of like a multimedia thing. Like the Mario movie was such a success. They're not just games anymore, and I think that really helps with branding. I think I call it there. I don't have. God, I really wish there was more for me to say, but I just don't think there is. I guess one thing would be like, if this comes out in June, I wonder if they give us another direct in June as like your E3 spot, or since they're doing it in April, do we just skip straight to September? Because honestly, maybe they just don't do anything to September, because this is already kind of late in the year. And I imagine they're going to do such a big blowout on all of this that there's just really no reason to do another one. I know that there's going to be Treehouse footage on the 3rd and 4th, so we'll probably see like, oh, Mario Kart gameplay, whatever the 3D Mario is, all of that. So they're confident they have games to show. They are confident enough to, like, wasn't Treehouse dead? I haven't seen one of those in a couple years. I, this is a tangent that doesn't matter at all. But the first Nintendo Treehouse I watched was in 2017, where they announced like 5 3DS games. So the next year, I was of the mindset that they would announce like smaller budget games during the Treehouse. So I watched every single Treehouse thing over E3 that week, and there was nothing new announced. So my ass was sitting there just waiting for them to pull up with, I don't know, like anything I gave a shit about. But instead, it was like, yeah, it was Daemon X Machina. Like, ah, thanks, man. I don't even fucking want that game. Actually, I do kind of want it, because I'll buy anything they shove in my face. And, speaking of anything they shove in my face, this fucking Donkey Kong Randall is incredible. I think this is King of Swing on the DS. Look at the fucking whimsy. Let me put that back. But look at the fucking whimsy that guy exudes. It's fucking beautiful. I love that man. God bless Donkey Kong. And God, I don't know what else he's gonna bless. Haven't really talked to him in a minute.